For 950 years, one man begged his people to save themselves from a disaster that was coming. Not weeks, not years, 950 years. And when it finally arrived, it wiped out almost every living soul on earth. This is the true story of Prophet Nuh, alayhi salam. And stay till the end, because the way this story ends will make you question who you'd really listen to if you were alive back then. Prophet Nuh AS was sent by Allah to a nation that had fallen into something even worse than disbelief. They had turned righteous men into idols. Historians and scholars explain that Nuh's people once had 5 righteous men among them. After these men passed away, Shaitan whispered to the people to build statues of them, just to remember them. Generations later, those statues became gods. Wad, Suwa, Yagath, Yuak, and Nasr. These names are recorded in Surah Nuh, verse 23, as the idols worshipped instead of Allah. Nuh AS was sent directly into this darkness with one clear message: O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him. Surah Al-Araf. Simple words. But what followed was one of the longest, most painful missions any prophet has ever endured. Now here's where the story becomes almost unbelievable. The Quran tells us exactly how long Nuh AS called his people to the truth. Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 14, and he remained among them 1,000 years minus 50 years. That's 950 years of dawah. Imagine speaking to the same stubborn crowd, generation after generation, and watching most of them reject you every single time. Nuh AS described his own effort in the Quran itself, in Surah Nuh. He said he called them night and day, but his calling only increased them in flight from the truth. He called them publicly, and he called them privately. He reminded them that Allah forgives, that Allah sends rain in abundance, that Allah increases wealth and children for those who turn to Him. Verses 5 through 12 of Surah Nuh capture this desperate, loving plea of a man trying every possible way to save his people. But most of them didn't just ignore him, they mocked him. The leaders told the poor and the weak, "We do not see you but as men like ourselves, and we do not see you followed except by those who are the lowest of us." Surah Hud, verse 27. They looked at Nuh's followers, mostly poor, weak, ordinary people, and used that as an excuse to reject the entire message. Sound familiar? It's the same excuse people have used against truth throughout history. Here's a detail most people skip over. Nuh wasn't just any prophet. He pleaded with such intensity that in Surah Nuh, verse 26, he actually made a heartbreaking dua. My Lord, do not leave upon the earth from among the disbelievers an inhabitant. After 950 years of rejection, mockery, and watching his people teach their own children to reject the truth, this was a man who had given everything he had. Even his own family wasn't fully spared from this test. Nuh AS had a son who refused to believe. And this is one of the most heartbreaking moments in the entire Quran. Allah commanded Nuh AS to build a ship, not near any ocean, not in preparation for any storm anyone could see coming. On dry land, in the middle of a desert-like disbelief, Nuh AS began constructing a massive ark. His own people walked past him, mocking him relentlessly. Surah Hud, verse 38, tells us, every time the eminent among his people passed by him, they ridiculed him. They called him crazy. They laughed at a man building a boat with no sea in sight. Nuh AS didn't stop. He didn't argue back. Allah simply told him to keep building, and to not be grieved by the mockery. Then the sign came. Allah commanded, when our command comes and the oven overflows. Surah Hud, verse 40. According to many scholars, this was a sign, water beginning to burst from the earth itself, even from an oven, an unmistakable signal that the flood was beginning. Nuh AS was told to load pairs of every kind of creature onto the ark, along with his family and the believers, a painfully small number after 950 years of calling people to the truth. And this is where the story reaches its most devastating moment. As the flood rose and the ark began to sail, Nuh AS saw his own son standing apart, refusing to come aboard. Surah Hud, verse 42, "O my son, come aboard with us and be not with the disbelievers." A father, in the middle of the greatest catastrophe humanity had ever faced, still reaching out one final time to save his child. His son's reply is one of the most tragic lines in the Quran: "I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water." He believed he could save himself without faith, without submission to Allah. Nuh AS warned him, "There is no protector today from the decree of Allah, except for whom he gives mercy." Surah Hud, verse 43. Moments later, a wave came between them, and his son was among the drowned. Nuh AS, heartbroken, called out to Allah, reminding him that his son was of his family, and Allah's promise was true. Allah's response is one of the most powerful corrections in the entire Quran. "O Nuh, indeed he is not of your family. Indeed he is one whose deeds were other than righteous." Surah Hud, verse 46. In that single sentence, Allah redefines what family truly means in the sight of Allah. Not blood, not lineage, but faith and righteous deeds. The flood continued to rise, covering mountains, wiping away an entire civilization that had rejected 950 years of warning. And when it was finally over, Allah gave the command that ends this story with breathtaking imagery: "O earth, swallow your water, and O sky, withhold." The water receded, the ark settled on Mount Judi, and it was said, "Away with the wrongdoing people." Nuh AS and the believers who trusted him stepped onto a completely renewed earth. Every single human being alive today, according to Islamic tradition, descends from the survivors of that ark. That means whoever is watching this video right now, your entire bloodline survived the greatest flood in human history because a group of people chose to believe one man who never gave up, even after 950 years of being mocked, rejected, and ridiculed. The lesson of Nuh AS isn't just about a flood. It's about patience beyond anything we can imagine. It's about continuing to call people to the truth even when the response is silence, mockery, or outright rejection. And it's a devastating reminder that even the people closest to us, our own children, our own family, are not saved by relation alone. They are saved by faith and righteous action. If Nuh AS could keep going for 950 years without losing hope in Allah's promise, then whatever difficulty you're facing today, however long it's lasted, is not a reason to give up either. Subscribe to continue this series, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that patience is always rewarded by Allah.